Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. Marvel, Opening Prince of Asgard. Chapter 1 Asgard. Asgard. Inside Asgard, a banquet is being held. The frescoes in the palace hall are also full of witnesses of peace between Odin and major civilizations. Cheers to the god King Odin. Cheers to the peace of the 9 realms. Cheers to the queen. Cheers to the prince who will be born. The sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and congratulations filled the whole banquet with a relaxed atmosphere. And in that cheerful corner, a handsome thin man with black hair and black eyes was staring coldly at everyone in the hall. Especially the one-eyed old man sitting high on the throne and drinking heavily, the god King Odin. Caesar is the second son of the god king and the second heir to Asgard. But no one ever thought he would ascend to the throne. Especially when the queen is pregnant again. Weak, too weak. As a prince, he could not inherit the powerful physique and divine power of awakening Odin, nor could he inherit the powerful magical ability of the fairy queen. Even though he trained very, very hard and fought hard. But in the end, whether it is martial arts or magic, he is nothing but an ordinary Asgard soldier. Perhaps, for civilians, being an Asgard regular is enough to live a decent life in Asgard. However, he is a prince, a weak king who cannot rule the 9 realms at all. Moreover, as a member of the royal family, one of Odin's heirs, so weak. Let the entire 9 realms be a joke, not to mention Asgard, who advocates force in the first place. Caesar, let's have a drink, let's celebrate the arrival of peace in the 9 realms. Heimdall noticed Caesar who was in the corner, and walked over and took Caesar's shoulders. Then Heimdall winked at Caesar with a smile that every man understands. There are quite a few beautiful goddesses at this banquet, do you want? I know a lot of their little secrets, so you can do whatever you want. The young Heimdall was far from being as mature and stable as he has become, and he was Caesar's only best friend. The young Caesar used to have many friends. Many people think that he may ascend to the throne in the future. After all, he was Odin's only son at the time. However, as Caesar gradually grew up and his own strength was compared with Hela's illustrious military exploits, everything seemed to be doomed. In addition to a message that was confirmed not long ago. The fairy queen is already pregnant with a powerful prince. He will be Asgard's hope. Let the entire Asgard people completely ignore the existence of Caesar. Only Heimdall, who has divine eyes that can see all over the 9 realms, knows how hard Caesar has worked hard to become stronger. Even such efforts and hard work have no significant effect. Caesar forced a smile. The recent events made him not in the mood to laugh. Is that really the right thing to do? That's her biological daughter. Caesar whispered to Heimdall. Heimdall immediately changed his face when he heard this, then quickly glanced at Odin who seemed to be on the throne as usual, and whispered, "Everything is for peace, and this is the will of the God King." God King, he, Caesar sneered. 500 years since Asgard was born, exactly 500 years. When he was born, he knew that this was Marvel, it was Asgard, and he was smug that he was a prince. And then to the disappointment that he is still weak no matter how much he exercises. Finally, to the despair of knowing everything but not having any ability to stop it. No one knows what happened to Caesar in these 500 years. Even Heimdall, who is all over the 9 realms, will not keep his eyes on Caesar all the time. Some memories of previous lives are even blurred in this life. But thanks to being born for God's sake. Even a weak god without awakening power, unable to obtain the title, is still a member of the Protoss. The 500 years of memory made him remember it very clearly. When he was born, Odin was still fighting in the 9 realms. When he was 100 years old, he had only seen Odin 5 times. Odin still had some fondness for him when he was young. But there are only a few. He is the god King Odin, he wants to conquer the 9 realms. He wants to rule the 9 realms. He's busy, which Caesar understands. But when Caesar grew up, but did not inherit any kind of divine power and ability, Odin gradually became disappointed with Caesar. Then ignore it. in the 500 years of his life. If it weren't for the fact that the commoners still respectfully called him a prince when they saw him, he would have almost forgotten that he had a father, and a father who was a god king. Caesar and Heimdall became silent, and the cheerful banquet gradually became silent. "My son, Caesar, are you dissatisfied with me?" God King Odin sat high on the throne and stared at Caesar with his only one eye. In this great hall, nothing can hide from Odin. The people in the hall also followed Odin's gaze and focused on Caesar, who was about to be forgotten. After charging is completed, the god-level selection system starts to activate. 10%, 40%, 80%. After activation, I noticed that the host was facing Odin's scolding, and began to choose. Choose 1, boldly express all your dissatisfaction with Odin, reward, awakening sun power. Choose 2, silently respond to Odin's questioning, reward magic ability +1. Choose 3, the docile said that he did not dare, to win the favor of Odin, and reward Asgard with a random treasure *. Chapter 2, The Power of the Sun. 500 years, exactly 500 years. Do you know how I've lived in these 500 years? Goldfinger is finally online. Caesar was overjoyed. Sure enough, through the necessary Goldfinger. If the system was not online, Caesar would have to choose silence. Angry at Odin, it's cool for a while, but after it's over, in the situation where you are extremely weak, you will definitely suffer in the future. Not to mention the wandering universe, the power of ordinary Asgard soldiers, the identity of the son of Odin. In the universe for less than 7 days, it is estimated that they will be caught by predators and sold to major civilizations for research or collection. The Asgard tribe, the son of Odin, is a rare commodity. As for the obedience to please Odin, Caesar can't do it either. Had to choose silence. But Goldfinger is online. Compared with magic ability +1 and random Asgard treasures, I definitely choose Odin awakening sun body. The ability takes time, and the treasures are too random. Even giving him a crate of the eternal fire ice or even a space gem, with his current powers, can't handle it, and can't explain it. Not to mention, what if he was randomly given a gemless infinity gauntlet? Put on gloves and punch your chest with small fists? Okay. That's right, the great god King Odin, the ruler of the 9 realms, I'm just dissatisfied with you. Caesar said loudly with excitement on his face. Some things have been in his heart for a long time. Odin didn't care about his son, but the fairy queen Frigg and his sister Hela gave Caesar great care. Frigga didn't care about Caesar's weakness, just taught Caesar impatiently over and over again, and patiently encouraged him. Hela, as the commander of the Asgard Legion, accompanied Odin to battle the 9 realms, very busy. Every time Kay returned from the expedition, he would come to see his weak brother. Bring him some strange gifts by the way. Not long ago, Hela also said to Caesar, she wants to go to the universe beyond the 9 realms, and she has found a target. After the battle is successful, she can give him a special gift to make him stronger. Hela knew that Caesar always wanted to be strong. But, it's all over. Caesar reminded Hela, but to no avail. Odin is too powerful, and he has already made up his mind. In a hasty coup d'état, the militant commander loyal to Hela perished along with a large number of pacifist generals. Asgard's most elite Valkyrie legions have also attacked their once most adored commander under Odin's stern orders. Then, slaughtered by Hela. Then, Odin shot and imprisoned Hela forever in a hell full of darkness and despair. Even Hela's mount, Fenrir, the demon wolf who used to lick Caesar's face at every turn, was executed by Odin himself and placed in Sol Castle. Once the elite of Asgard was lost, the 9 realms ushered in true peace. But no one knows, Odin, why this is done. Caesar didn't call Roar Odin his father, he wasn't dissatisfied with Odin ignoring him, after all, he had a father's love in his past life. It's just that he didn't understand, he really didn't understand, why did Odin treat Hela like that, treat Asgard's elite warriors like that. I've heard a joke that people who were called heroes and beloved during the war were called butchers and executioners after the war, and were reviled by thousands of people. Caesar looked at Odin fearlessly. Well, that's not even funny. But there are some people who are at the head of the war, but in the name of ending the war, they can put a former hero into hell, and transform themselves into a symbol of peace. But why is it so strange? This one is more funny. Caesar finished with a sneer, clapping his palms for the joke. The hall became dead silent in an instant, and even cold sweat broke out on the heads of many people. Everyone knows that that person has become a taboo in the entire Asgard not long ago. Ha ha ha, Odin burst out laughing, his laughter echoing throughout the hall. This is really a ridiculous joke, Odin said, with all his hair and beard open, and his only one eye swelled open, as if some blood was brewing in it. So, are you fighting for your sister, Hela? So, are you questioning, the king of God, your father's decision? So, just because you are so weak, do you want to go after the war? Odin abruptly stood up from the throne, holding the spear of eternity Gungnir in his left hand. Step by step, he came to Caesar. Then, wave Gungnir and aim at Caesar. Your Majesty, Heimdall saw that something was wrong, and wanted to plead, but he was waved casually by Odin, and a thunderbolt appeared, knocking Heimdall to the ground. The fairy queen Frigga had a small belly and hurriedly stepped forward to hold Odin and intercede for Caesar, but was also reprimanded by Odin and retreated. None of the remaining people in the hall dared to step forward, and all shrank behind Odin. Caesar glanced at Heimdall, who had collapsed on the ground. Odin had a good shot, but Heimdall was fine. Looking at Frigga, who was kicked back, there was a rare trace of tenderness in his eyes. Then, he said firmly, I don't want to chase war, but I know that only war can win peace. Peace is fought. Peace requires strength to maintain. But our beloved god King Odin, why did he destroy the elite of Asgard and imprison the former hero, his biological daughter, for the so-called peace? I just don't accept it. Asterisk. Chapter 3 Self-Exile. Ha ha ha, do you want to rebel too? Odin laughed angrily, and then said angrily, you are right, only war can win peace, but don't forget one thing, only with power can you have a voice. With that, Odin swings Gungnir, about to hit Caesar hard, to shut him up. Heimdall was in a coma, and Frigg wanted to shoot, but he was afraid of angering Odin even more. In all eyes, Caesar faced Odin's casual attack, only to fall to the ground with serious injuries. Just don't know what Odin will do with Caesar who contradicts him afterwards. Maybe he will be imprisoned like that forbidden person? Someone thought with bad intentions. With a bang, the ending unexpectedly exceeded everyone's expectations. Even Odin looked at Caesar in shock. Caesar's left arm exuded a scorching light, and it seemed that a mysterious power was poured into it, and it actually blocked Gungnir. Is this what you are relying on? Caesar, Odin said with a complicated expression, and slammed Caesar into the air. Everyone in the hall also opened their eyes and began to whisper. How is it possible that he actually awakening divine power? And it seems to be a powerful sun power. Since the death of the sun god, the whole Asgard has no awakening sun power. This is a very powerful power. Just awakening can block His Majesty Odin's attack, at least its second order, right? Is this really the waste prince from the past? The Asgard Protoss was born with a physical fitness more than 3 times that of Earth people. More than 3 times the physical fitness does not mean that an Asgard Protoss can only fight a few Earthlings, it means an all-round and exponential increase in combat power. Not to mention that all Asgard people have the probability of awakening divine power. Ordinary civilians and soldiers are ordinary Protoss without the power of awakening. And after awakening divine power, you will get the title of God according to the different divine power. Every Protoss with a divine title is at least a commander of the Asgard army, with decent combat power. After awakening, divine power was divided into 4 levels. Level 1 divine power can only be counted as minor commanders, centurions, thousand commanders, and the like. The second order divine power can be called a general, such as the 3 warriors of Asgard, Sif, and the like. The third order divine power, such as Thor who is not awakening, will have a great name in the entire 9 realms. Some lords of the 9 realms, such as Lauf, who did not get the eternal fire flame giant, also have this level. As for the 4th level, it can be called the level Godfather, who can become the overlord of the entire universe. Hela with the power of Asgard, Ancient One with Time Gem, Odin, Thanos without gems, Thor after awakening, etc., can all be called this level. But the upper and lower limits of this level are extremely high, and Thor, who was just awakening, was undoubtedly beaten by Thanos. Hela. Different gods have different external combat powers. For example, compared to a goddess of harvest and a god of war, the god of war, the power of the god of the sun is obviously much higher than that of the god of war. Ahem, Caesar, who was knocked into the air, struggled to stand up, clenching his left hand, feeling the powerful force gushing out of his body. The burning sun outside Asgard is also constantly energizing him, making his body stronger and stronger. Is this the power of the sun? Caesar was ecstatic. Awakening just had a second order, and more sun exposure can increase its power. After the 4th order, it can control the fixed star to carry out flare bombing and destroy any planet. It is extremely powerful. Caesar, you should understand that you are still too weak, and the weak have no right to speak. Odin returned to the throne, watching Caesar standing up. I will punish you, and I will imprison you for 1,000 years. I hope that in this 1,000 years, you can learn what it means to be revered. Odin leaned on the spear of eternity and began to announce Caesar's trial. Heimdall was awakened by the battle, but there was nothing to stop the trial of the god King Odin. Frigga burst into tears, but couldn't get Odin to take back his punishment. He is the god King Odin, the ruler of the 9 realms. The majesty of the god king cannot be offended, and all offenders must pay for it. The host faces the trial of the god King Odin and begins to make choices. The first choice, accept Odin's trial, imprisoned in the dark for 1,000 years, get the reward, Odin's approval, the sun power upgrade level 1. The second choice, kneel down and beg Odin to take back the trial, stay in Asgard, and get the reward, Frigga's treasure, a piece of territory. The third choice, reject Odin's trial, self-exile, leave Asgard, get rewards, a cosmic star map, a reincarnation pool. Imprisoned in the dark for 1,000 years, just to get Odin's approval, and the sun's power to increase to level 1, it is definitely impossible. 1,000 years is too long. With Goldfinger, Caesar might surpass Odin in 1,000 years, so why should he be imprisoned for 1,000 years? As for kneeling down and begging for mercy, it is even more impossible. Begging for mercy is impossible. Then only choose to self-exile. There is a cosmic star map and a reincarnation pool. With his second order divine power, he can be considered a person in the universe if he is not too small or not, and then find a remote planet. Wait until a powerful angel army is born, and then use the power of the sun to the extreme. Nothing Odin Thanos would put in his eyes. Asterisk. Chapter 4 Reincarnation Pool. In particular, the reincarnation pool, as the supreme god of the angel family, can breed 1 high-level angel equivalent to the 3rd level divine power, 20 middle-level angels equivalent to the 2nd level, and 500 equivalent to the level 1 angel every year. Low-level angel. After spending a lot of faith, you can unlock and upgrade the powerful king rank angel and angel armament. It can be said that if there is a reincarnation pool, find a place and develop with peace of mind for 10 years, and you can match Asgard, who is now excluding Odin Hela, after a large number of elites have died in battle. After 100 years of development, and then upgrade a few king rank angels, it will properly crush the 9 realms, far surpassing the 3 major empires of the universe, and become the super overlord of the universe. Great the King of God, I reject your judgment, Caesar said calmly with contempt. What? What does he want to do? Although 1,000 years is a long time, it is not unacceptable. Does he want to be imprisoned forever? Odin was furious, then quickly calmed down, only his eyes became extremely cold. Frigga saw something wrong, and Odin was really angry. Your Majesty, Caesar has only just come of age and is just talking nonsense on the spur of the moment, Frigg said, giving Caesar a wink. At the same time, he hurriedly instructed the guards, come here, take down the prince quickly, put him in the forbidden room, and let him reflect on it. Although the Odin trial will imprison Caesar for 1,000 years, after a period of time, when Odin calms down, Frigga pleads again. After all, Caesar is the parent and son of Odin, Prince Asgard, the current first heir, and has shown great power. No matter what, he will not be locked up for 1,000 years. The people in the hall also reacted a little at this time. It is impossible for a weak prince to ascend the throne, but a powerful prince may become the new king of Asgard. So they pleaded, no matter what, it was always right to make a good impression on Caesar first. Odin watched from the sidelines, intending to give Caesar one last chance. But Caesar slammed the Asgard guards who had captured him away. I will reject your judgment, I will judge myself, and from now on, the only one who can judge me will be myself. I will exile myself, renounce Odin's son, Asgard's heir, and leave Asgard. Caesar said decisively. Asgard is indeed a treasure land, with Odin in it, it is extremely safe, but it is also Asgard in success and Asgard in failure. The identity of Odin's son has imprisoned Caesar, making him unable to do many things. Many treasures that can strengthen themselves cannot be captured. Because he is the son of Odin, his every move is in the eyes of Asgard and even everyone in the 9 realms, and he cannot easily leave Asgard. Even if he didn't get the gold finger, Caesar had already decided to leave Asgard in search of great power soon. He never wanted to go through the despair that he couldn't change. Following Caesar's speech, the hall suddenly fell silent. Silence, as silent as a stagnant water of despair. Everyone stopped talking, just stared at the peaceful god King Odin quietly. Even Frigga looked desperate at this time. On one side is her husband who is already rage, and on the other side is a resolute parent and child. She has no choice. Okay, fine, give up being the son of Odin, give up the entire Asgard, self-exile, is this your trial against yourself? Caesar. Odin's words were very calm, calm without a trace of emotion. Yes, great the king of God. Caesar also replied calmly. Very well, so be it, get out of Asgard, from now on, you will no longer be my Odin's son. No longer have Asgard's shelter. Get out of me. In the end, Odin finally couldn't control his emotions and shouted angrily. Then, Odin said tiredly, that's it, I need to rest. After speaking, Odin's figure disappeared from the throne of Asgard. The people in the hall quickly dispersed, and even Heimdall didn't stay after he glanced at Frigga. Soon, there was only a tearful Frigga in the hall looking at Caesar. I'm sorry, Queen, Caesar whispered, looking at Frigga, whose face was full of tears. I have reasons to leave Asgard. You will always be my mother and I will come back to see you. Caesar left Asgard in order to gain more powerful power to reverse everything that happened in the future and protect Frigga's life. This is a real world. Caesar can definitely choose to stay in Asgard, choose to be imprisoned for 1,000 years. Even if he is imprisoned for 1,000 years, by the time the Marvel story begins, Caesar will surely have far more power than Thor. But is that strength enough? The assassination of the Dark Elves, Caesar may be able to stop it with great strength. But what to do with Thanos' snap of his fingers? To bet on that 1 in 2 odds? Impossible, Caesar couldn't put his own destiny, Frigga's life, the lives of all the people he cherished on that 1/2 scale. Only until then, stop and even kill Thanos. But Thanos, too strong. The complete Thor, holding the Stormbreaker, plus a group of Avengers, can only be on par with Thanos, and in the end, it was only with the snap of his fingers that he killed Thanos. All this is too risky. There's only a 1 in a million chance. But the birth of Caesar has brought huge amounts of butterfly effect to the world. At that time, will this 1 in 10 million possibility still happen? Caesar, dare not gamble. You can only make yourself as strong as possible before the plot happens, stronger than Thanos, and then kill Thanos before he collects all the gems. Asterisk. Chapter 5 Junkyard. In front of Bifrost's door, Frigga didn't come to see Caesar off. After a brief communication with Caesar within Asgard, Frigga had no choice but to remain silent. She had no way of swaying Odin and Caesar's decisions, and could only hope that time would heal everything. Fortunately, the Asgard Protoss are very long-lived. Heimdall gave Caesar a hard hug, and then 1,000 words turned into a look of trust. Heimdall believed Caesar's decision. Send me to Midgard. After Caesar decided to go into self-imposed exile, he decided on a planet to go to. The plot of the Earth more than 1,000 years ago, that is, Midgard, is undoubtedly a good choice. At this time, Ancient One has not yet been born, so there is no need to worry about being sent to the Earth in an infinite loop. Heaven and Hell are hostile to each other, but with the Sorcerer Supreme and the Nine Realms Agreement, high-level combat power cannot easily come to the Earth, and the Earth is still safe. The important thing is that the Earth already had the beliefs of angels and gods at that time, after staying on Earth for a period of time and gaining a lot of beliefs. Summon a few king-rank angels, and when they have enough strength themselves, they will leave the Earth and fight the universe to find trouble with Thanos. Well, the plan works. Heimdall inserted the longsword into the controller, and Bifrost was already activated. Caesar waved his hand and entered Bifrost dashingly. Earth, here I come. Caesar hovered firmly in the center of Bifrost. He didn't get close to the edge of Bifrost, and he didn't even try to stick his hands and feet out of the bridge. No one knew what was outside Bifrost and where it was. If you are lucky, you may be able to land on a beautiful planet. If you are not lucky, you may fall directly into a black hole. Caesar didn't want to die, he just wanted to get to Earth safely. Bifrost fluctuation detected. Hurry up and start teleportation, stick to Bifrost. This time, be sure to reach Asgard. A gigantic void-thrown battleship suddenly descended upon Bifrost. Mutations also occurred within Bifrost. Then, Caesar was thrown out of Bifrost and fell into the void. Before falling, Caesar only saw a strong purple potato essence on the throne, shouting, "Odin, hand over the space gem." "Thanos? I'm going to you." Before Caesar could say the last words, he lost consciousness. Odin was in his prime, after learning that Thanos had invaded Asgard through Bifrost, causing Caesar to fall and Bifrost's whereabouts unknown. He didn't say much, just put on the armor of the destroyer, rode on the eight-legged horse, and waved Gungnir. Prove to Thanos what the King of the Nine Realms is, the real super overlord. Thanos was seriously injured, and with the desperate help of his subordinates, he fled. He was full of resentment in his heart, but he did not intend to come to the Nine Realms again before Odin was weakened. Odin was drunk for 7 days after fighting off Thanos, and Frigga secretly cried for a long time after learning that Caesar had fallen to Bifrost. Heimdall's eyes were wide open, and he observed many places, but he couldn't find any trace of Caesar. He didn't give up, he still looked around from time to time, but the words became less and less, and the people became more and more calm. Heimdall blamed himself a little, and blamed himself for not discovering Thanos's trace in time, and not discovering Thanos' plan in time. It's not really his fault. Although Heimdall has a pair of eyes that claim to be able to observe the 9 worlds and see through the entire universe. But there are obviously many forbidden areas, and the superpowers who can block Heimdall's gaze. Otherwise, the technology of the 3 major empires, plus the secrets of the major Protoss, and the location of the cosmic gems, have long been seen by Heimdall. Then how can the whole Asgard stop at the 9 realms? Time passed, to avoid angering Odin and causing Frigga's grief. Asgard, Caesar also like Hela, gradually became taboo. Sakar. Landfill. Caesar, who was sore all over, fell from the sky, and then fell heavily to the ground. Damn, what the hell is this place? Caesar struggled to his feet, the rancid stench of a lot of junkyards wafting through his nostrils. However, fortunately, it didn't fall directly into the trash. Caesar looked at the large number of garbage dumps standing around him, and the unknown rancid and dirty substances in the garbage dumps, and thought bitterly. Thanos locked Bifrost and then invaded Asgard, but unexpectedly threw Caesar, who was riding Bifrost, out. No one knew what was outside of Bifrost before, but Caesar probably knew a little bit now. Void, endless void, pressure, endless pressure. If it weren't for the Protoss, an awakening had divine power, his body was strong, and he could resist the squeeze of the void. Caesar, long ago died in the void. It is fortunate to survive. As for what fell into the junkyard or something, and it didn't fall into the garbage heap, I definitely don't care. It's just that if there is a chance later, it's not bad to hack Thanos in the junkyard. Before Caesar could recover, a group of aliens dressed in strange clothes, with masks on their faces and armed with weapons, surrounded Caesar. These outliers are scavengers in the landfill. Warrior or food? No, it should be new, that is food. Apparently, Caesar, which fell from the sky, caught the attention of the scavengers. And, they treat Caesar as food. Asterisk. Chapter 6 Scavengers. Food? Fighter. Caesar, still a little confused, didn't know where this place was. The undisguised maliciousness of the group of scavengers in front of him had given him no time to think. Bang! A scavenger raised his weapon and attacked Caesar. A clump of electricity was wrapped directly around Caesar. Then the scavengers rushed forward and wanted to divide Caesar with their weapons. After the energy weapon attack, most of the duplication experience will be broken into pieces, which cannot be used as food. The power grid clung to Caesar and kept sending out a weak electric current, trying to knock Caesar unconscious. Caesar held the power grid in both hands, the light flashed in his hand, and when he pulled hard, the power grid was torn apart. That's it. Also want to trap a Protoss. As an Aesir Protoss, an awakening divine power. In the universe, most firearms are no longer a threat to Caesar, let alone a mere electrical grid. The power grid was broken, and the scavengers who rushed up were slightly taken aback. Then swarmed again. Hack him. Food can't be less. Want to use me as food? Caesar waved his left hand, blocking a scavenger's machete. A punch with his right hand smashed into pieces a scavenger who was holding an iron bar at Caesar's head. Another kick sent an assailant stabbing Caesar's stomach with a dagger. You guys deserve it too. Caesar waved his fists and feet, but didn't keep his hands, and the scavengers who swarmed up suffered heavy casualties. Hard point, kill him. Enough food. Some scavengers who did not step forward watched Caesar slaughter the quartet, and a large number of scavengers lay on the ground and swallowed. Afterwards, Roar, who seemed to be the leader of the scavengers, drank it, picked up his weapons, and started shooting at Caesar frantically. Energy beams shot out, and the scavengers who were still surrounding Caesar and couldn't escape in time were instantly smashed to pieces. Caesar also had to wave his arms to protect his eyes under the attack of a large number of firearms, and then stepped back due to the force of the impact. Although these firearms can't hurt Caesar temporarily, it doesn't feel good to be attacked all the time. Damn it, it can't hurt him. Damn, what the hell is this god clan? Continue to attack, can't stop, take out the big guy. The scavengers saw that their weapons could not hurt Caesar, causing a commotion. However, under the order of the leader of the scavengers, they did not leave in a hurry. They all know that in this garbage dump, by themselves, a person can only become food. It's really a blood loss. If you can sell him to a grandmaster to be a fighter, you can earn at least 1 million. The leader of the scavengers looked at Caesar, who could physically resist the energy beam, and cursed, but did not let his subordinates stop shooting. They had offended Caesar and had no power to control a powerful Protoss. Only, kill him. Caesar was shocked and stepped back. Although his arms covered his eyes, they did not completely block his vision. Seeing that a defective energy cannon was carried out by the scavengers, and there was a garbage heap behind him. Caesar can definitely avoid the scavengers shooting through those rubbish piles. Just dodge their salvo for a while and Caesar can kill them all. But Caesar didn't want to see if he could physically resist the shelling right now, nor did he want to roll in the trash. Had to find another way to get rid of this group of scavengers. These energy beams really dazzle the eyes, dazzle the eyes. The high-energy particle beam that was shot at a high speed was blocked by Caesar's arms, and then spread out in front of Caesar, which was quite dazzling. Caesar suddenly realized, activated the divine power of the sun, and a violent light suddenly erupted from his whole body. Neither the sun nor the gods can be seen directly. I am the incarnation of the sun. Caesar exclaimed. My eyes, my eyes. The scavengers suffered from stinging eyes, were temporarily blinded, and lost their guns in their hands. They started shooting randomly in the chaos. Bang, 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 the flying beams smashed the scavengers into pieces, and occasionally a few beams hit Caesar, but they couldn't stop him. A few smarter scavengers stopped shooting after Caesar burst into a dazzling light. Then, he immediately covered his eyes and ran back. They are very familiar with the terrain. As long as they bypass the 2 garbage dumps and hide in the garbage mountain, generally no one will specifically hunt down and kill them. However, the scattered energy beams and the running Caesar did not let them go. 3 escapees were beaten to pieces by their own men, and 1 narrowly escaped the energy beam, but was knocked to the ground by Caesar. Caesar stood quietly, watching the scavengers kill each other and finally end. Among the large group of scavengers, except for the one who was knocked down by Caesar's last hand, there were only 2 left. They were holding guns and talking nonsense back to back. By the way, there is another person, the leader of the scavengers. He should have fallen among the corpses that were shot by Caesar as soon as Caesar burst into light. Just dodged the scavengers' 4 attacks, and then, resisting the stinging pain in his eyes, pretended to be dead motionless. But such a little trick obviously failed to deceive Caesar, who had awakening the power of the sun. The light and heat on the leader of the scavengers did not decay as quickly as a corpse. Caesar rushed forward and punched the last 2 standing scavengers to the ground. Then, he stepped on the leader of the scavenger who was pretending to be dead. I ask, you answer, if you don't say it, you will die, understand? Asterisk. Chapter 7 Sokka and the Grand Master. Understood. The leader of the scavengers saw that he could not hide from Caesar, and no longer pretended, and hurriedly said flatteringly, if you have anything to ask, I will say it immediately, and I will never hide it. Caesar glanced at the scavenger who was deliberately left unconscious and said, I'll ask them again later, whoever lies to me will die. The leader of the scavenger who can act decisively and pretend to be dead is obviously more treacherous. Caesar doesn't listen blindly to scavenger leaders. Understood, understood. The scavenger leader wore a mask and couldn't see his face clearly, but his trembling body was even more flattering. The first question, where is this place? Caesar always felt that this place was a little familiar, but he had never been able to figure out where it was. Sir, this is Sokka. It is the border between the known world and the unknown world. It is a forgotten and exiled place. It is ruled by a Grand Master. He likes champion combat very much, and he has a large number of fighters. The leader of the scavengers clearly saw that Caesar was a newcomer, so he told all about Sokka's situation. So it's here? Does anyone who falls from Bifrost in flight reach Sokka? Caesar covered his head, and his 2 future younger brothers had also fallen in the Bifrost of rapid flight, and both came to Sokka. Is it because Bifrost's speed far exceeds the speed of light and involves the barrier of time, so he came to this time-warping place after falling Bifrost, Sokka? Caesar didn't think much of it. All he cares about now is how to get out of Sokka. As a time-distorted place in Sokka, thousands of years may have passed outside, but only 1 year inside Sokka. He didn't want to stay in Sarkar for a few years, and when he went out again, Frigga was dead, and it was Ragnarok right away. He must get out of this hellish place as soon as possible. Heimdall? Heimdall. When it comes to picking up and teleporting, nothing is more convenient than Bifrost except the space gem. Caesar shouted roar loudly, but there was no response. Caesar shook his head, not surprised. Sokka is a time-warped place, and the time flow rate of the 9 realms of the universe is different. If Heimdall is strong enough to communicate with Caesar across the barriers of time, and use Bifrost to save Caesar from Sokka, that God King should be done by Heimdall. Your Majesty? Your Majesty! The scavenger leader looked at Caesar and fell into deep thought after listening to him, then he shouted something Heimdall at the sky, and then fell into deep thought. Caesar pondered that nothing, the key, the leader of the scavengers was still trampled on the ground by Caesar, and the power seemed to grow stronger as Caesar pondered. He didn't want to be accidentally trampled to death by Caesar. How can I get out of here? Caesar asked calmly, looking down at the trembling leader of the scavenger, with a slight force on his feet. My lord, no one has ever left Sokka. This is a place of oblivion and exile. It is the junction of the known world and the unknown world. No one can leave Sokka. The leader of the scavengers replied loudly in pain, there was despair in his tone. No one wants to be in this ghost place except a lunatic, but he never knew anyone had left. Are you sure? Caesar pressed his foot again. Ah, my lord, the leader of the scavengers screamed, and then hurriedly said, Grandmaster, Grandmaster, only Grandmaster can get people out of this ghost place. Okay, stop pretending. Caesar moved his feet away from the scavenger leader. I know, you're not that weak. The undiminished glow and heat of the leader of the scavengers made Caesar understand that he was just pretending. Has the Grandmaster ever sent someone out of here? Caesar definitely understands that the Grandmaster can leave here, but he doesn't want to deal with the Grandmaster at all if it is not necessary. Each of those cosmos elders has an infinite lifespan, and no one knows how long they have lived. They even chose a hobby for each of them to kill the boring time. For example, Tiffany's collection, Grandmaster's champion fight. Even if the elders of the universe are funny in the film and television, no one knows how strong they are. For example, the collector Tiffany, who seemed to be easily defeated by Thanos. Thanos had long known that the reality gem was in the hands of Tiffany, but he first destroyed Xandar, the Nova Core, and captured the power gem. Then go to defeat the fleeing Asgard Protoss and capture the space gem. A reality gem to capture in person. Doing things is always from easy to difficult. The 2 gems at the beginning of the earth, Thanos only sent the 5 obsidians. No hands-on. Before Caesar is not strong enough, he doesn't want to face those super strong people in person. No one knows if they will suddenly go crazy and kill or imprison you at will. I don't know, maybe some champions have been sent away, but if you want to be a champion, it's impossible, it's impossible. When the Predator leader mentioned the championship, his body began to tremble unconsciously, and his words were full of fear. That's for you, Caesar said with a sneer. Notice that the host has come to Sokka and start to choose. Choice 1, see the Grandmaster, beg the Grandmaster to let you leave, reward, physical resistance +1, super speed regeneration. Choice 2, stay in Sokka for 10 years, reward, Grandmaster's friendship, Sun power upgrade level 1. Choice 3, participate in champion fighting and become a champion, reward, cell activity +1, solar power upgrade level 1. Asterisk. Chapter 8 Valkyrie. If it was enough to beg the Grandmaster to get out of Sokka, then Sokka wouldn't have the junkyard and these scavengers. So, flesh resistance and overdrive regeneration are for more beating resistance? Choice 1 was decisively abandoned by Caesar, and choice 2 was even more impossible. No one knew how many years Sokka's 10 years would be in the outside world. Moreover, there is only one reincarnation pond, and it is impossible to place it in the time-warped Sokka. Then there is only one choice. After making a choice without hesitation, Caesar then questioned the leader of the scavengers. "Tell me, what does it take to be a champion?" "Impossible, impossible," the leader of the scavengers muttered, and after being kicked by Caesar again, he changed his tune. "There are only 2 ways to become a champion. First, when no champion is born, win 100 consecutive victories. Second, after winning 10 consecutive victories in bloody battles, you have the qualification to challenge for the championship. After defeating the champion, you can become a new champion. Now a champion has been born, that is the desert death god, unparalleled strength, unparalleled speed, and the power of darkness. No one can beat him. No one." The scavenger leader's behavior is a little weird when it comes to the desert death god. He's too scared of champion fights. "Have you met him?" Caesar asked. The leader of the scavengers suddenly became silent, and then said, "I have a brother who was exiled here with me, and then, in order to gain freedom, he chose a bloody battle. In the 8th game, I met the desert death god who also participated in the bloody battle. Then, the desert death god tore my brother into pieces. In that game, I was cheering for my brother. Next, I was there for every fight of his. I wanted to watch him die, and watch him be torn apart by other fighters, until he became a champion all the way. He's too strong, really too strong," the leader of the scavengers said very calmly, as if without a trace of emotion. The body that was just lying on the ground slowly turned the head that was looking at Caesar. Then Caesar kicked the scavenger leader in the neck, knocking him out. Yes, the scavenger chief's brother may have died miserably, but what's the matter with Caesar? When the scavengers attack the innocent Caesar and plan to use the Caesar as food, they are no longer worthy of forgiveness. After awakening, asking, and knocking down the 3 scavengers that had been reserved in turn, Caesar had a clearer understanding of Sokka. "Take off the armband of the leader of the scavengers, and then gather all the remaining credit points in the armbands on the hands of the remaining scavengers." Another one gave a kick and sent them to meet their dead partner. Caesar lifted the defective energy cannon with one hand and began to head towards the Sokka living quarters. The combined credit points of these scavengers can only stay in the living area for 10 days. Selling the cannon will at least allow Caesar to stay in the living area for a while. He's had enough of the stench in the junkyard. A person can often only become food in a garbage dump, but when he can lift an energy cannon with one hand, there will be much less garbage without eyes. Along the way, I gave away some garbage that really didn't have long eyes, and the credit points on the armband increased a lot. If he successfully sells the energy cannon again, the credit points obtained will be enough for him to live in the living quarters for 2 months. "Hey, man, can you give me that energy cannon with you?" An old ship stopped in front of Caesar. Afterwards, a woman with tied hair, dark complexion, and strange patterns on her face, as if she was drunk, walked erratically from the spaceship. This is a powerful lone scavenger with his own ship. Also, Caesar recognized her. She is the Valkyrie left after chasing Hela. "You should know me." Caesar threw away the energy cannon, and then, perhaps, no longer needed it. "We never met." Valkyrie picked up the bottle in his hand, took a few more sips, and said, "No matter how you came to Sokka, now, you are mine, you should be very valuable." "Definitely, I believe we haven't met, but, I should be quite famous in Asgard, right?" "More than famous, as the trash prince of Asgard, it's impossible to say that Valkyrie doesn't know him." "Don't talk to me about Asgard, now, right now, come with me right away." Valkyrie slammed the bottle in his hand, then took out a long sword and aimed it at Caesar. "So, You are planning to betray the royal family you are loyal to? Oh, almost forgot, I am no longer a member of the Asgard royal family, so are you planning to forcibly take me away and sell it? Caesar's expression changed a bit. Valkyrie, as Asgard's most elite unit, each possessed at least divine power. Although the Valkyrie in front of him is not the commander of the Valkyrie Legion, he also possesses the second-order divine power, which is comparable to the current Caesar. I said, don't mention Asgard to me, I don't want to know if you are a royal family, all I know now is that you are very valuable. In Saka, if you want to enjoy the life of a normal person, you must have enough credit points and live in the living area. Junkyard, that's hell. As soon as Valkyrie finished speaking, the long sword in his hand slammed towards Caesar. That was enough power to stun the former Caesar. Notice that the host is facing Valkyrie and start making choices. Asterisk. Chapter 9 Selection. Choose 1, help Valkyrie untie the knot and get a reward, Valkyrie's allegiance, Soul Castle. Option 2, ignore the entanglement of Valkyrie, get rewards, physical resistance +1, neural response +1. Choose 3, knock Valkyrie to the ground, get a reward, Valkyrie Servant, Sun Power Level 1. Caesar turned his head to avoid Valkyrie's slap, then took a few steps back and distanced himself from Valkyrie. But Valkyrie didn't stop attacking, but quickly followed, waving the long sword in his hand. I'm sorry for the demise of Valkyrie, but that's no choice. I loved Valkyrie too when I was little, well, who doesn't love a beautiful and powerful Valkyrie? But, Valkyrie may really disappear in the future. Caesar didn't fight back, speaking as he stepped back. They are long gone. Valkyrie shouted, and the long sword in his hand gradually increased its strength. So, I'm sorry. Caesar floated with light all over his body, and no longer dodged, he reached out, grabbed, and threw, and inserted the long sword in Valkyrie's hand into the ground. Divine Power Awakening? Second Order? It turns out that you are not useless, very good, you are more valuable. The long sword in Valkyrie's hand was suddenly taken away, and he was stunned for a moment, then stopped attacking. Then he clenched his fists, moved his neck, and looked at Caesar even more greedily. The same as the Second Order, the battle-hardened Valkyrie faces the little prince of greenhouse flowers, and there is no reason to lose. Caesar looked at the eager Valkyrie, sighed, and said firmly, Hela is my sister, she is very good to me, I can't help you kill her. My mother has always loved me deeply, and I have a friend who believes in me very much. They should live well. So, I have to leave Saka as soon as possible, I want to be the champion. I want to knock you down. What are you kidding? Valkyrie looked at Caesar, who was talking nonsense, and punched him directly. Awakening by luck, did you make you arrogant? The same as Second Order, but the gap is huge. Valkyrie's punch was blocked by Caesar's wave, but he took the opportunity to kick Caesar several meters away. Rich combat experience makes Valkyrie's attacks elusive. Do you think I'm the flower in the greenhouse? Do you know what kind of training I have gone through to improve my strength? Do you know what all this is for? Caesar patted the dust on his body and stood with his head held high. Although Valkyrie's kick was powerful, it was nothing in front of the defense of the divine body and the resilience brought by the divine power of the sun. Let's fight! Caesar roared, slammed forward, punched, kicked, and attacked the key points without leaving his hands. Enough! Valkyrie was punched in the face by Caesar, his head was tilted, he spat out a mouthful of bloody saliva, and then also punched Caesar in the abdomen. Come again! Punch, kick, you come, I go. The super defensive body of the Aesir Protoss makes Caesar and Valkyrie play together. A large number of garbage mountains were beaten into plains. At the same time, the fierce fighting has also attracted the attention of many scavengers, including some powerful lone scavengers. It's over, Caesar panted, slightly hooking his waist, his hands hanging limply over his legs. The Valkyrie on the opposite side looked even more embarrassed, and seemed to be reluctant to even stand. "Thank you, I have improved my combat experience a lot, the incarnation of the sun." The powerful recovery effect brought by the second-order solar power allows Caesar to still have spare power. The power of the sun erupted violently, and the blazing hot light shone violently in the junkyard, as if a sun was rising from the junkyard. The sudden flash of light prevented anyone who looked directly at them from waving their arms. Valkyrie is no exception. Those strong enough lone scavengers reacted quickly, only to see that Caesar had flashed behind Valkyrie. The raised right hand slashed Valkyrie's neck with a savage palm. With a bang, Valkyrie couldn't support it anymore, fell to the ground and didn't wake up. "I didn't expect number 142 to be planted. Who is that new guy? He's very strong. They should know, they are all goddamn gods. It's all the gods who fight so hard, don't they have hatred? Hate because of love? Ha ha ha. Stop arguing, the old rules, sell it to the Grand Master, we will share equally, 2 excellent fighters are very valuable. Just do it." 4 new and old flight machines slowly landed in front of Caesar and the unconscious Valkyrie, and shot some of the scavengers in the group, telling them to get out. 4 lone scavengers aim the energy cannon at Caesar. "Boy, thank you very much for beating the drunkard on the 142nd. Damn you, the Protoss are really too resistant. Now, put your head in your hands, squat on the ground, thank you for the big gift bag you gave us, ha ha ha." The lone scavengers laughed wildly. In their eyes, the exhausted Caesar was powerless to resist and could only be reduced to their commodity. With his head down, the muscles of Caesar, who barely stood, began to tremble violently. This was not the rhythm of the muscles after vigorous exercise. Instead, it seems that a light is radiating from Caesar's body from the inside out, transforming Caesar's body. Asterisk. Chapter 10 The Birth of the Sun God. The violent shaking of Caesar's flesh obviously did not escape the eyes of the lone scavengers. "What happened to this kid? Boy, hold your head and squat down immediately." The lone scavenger shouted, but Caesar ignored it. Seeing that Caesar did not respond, the cautious lone scavengers did not have any hesitation, and attacked Caesar directly. Anyway, the Protoss has always resisted beatings, and they can't die easily. Let's talk about it in the last round. The energy beam kept flying towards Caesar, kicking up a large piece of dust. In the dust mist, Caesar's figure was gradually hidden. "Damn bastard, lie down now." "Haha, some of him suffered from this round of shelling. I hope he is not injured. If he is disabled, he will not be able to sell for a good price." "Relax, the Protoss is very resistant." The lone scavengers laughed lightly, and the battle between Caesar and Valkyrie had already fallen into their eyes. Although the two were strong in combat, they did not surpass their estimates. None of the scavengers who can walk alone in the junkyard and have their own spaceships are weak. The dust and mist gradually dissipated, but Caesar's figure did not collapse to the ground, but stood taller. "How is it possible that you haven't fallen yet?" "Impossible, even the Protoss, according to estimates, 1 round of shelling is enough to knock them down." "Damn it, keep attacking, another round." Surprised, the lone scavengers are about to attack Caesar again. At this moment, Caesar raised his head sharply, and in his eyes, there was a golden light flashing continuously. Caesar grinned and said to the lone scavengers, "Welcome to witness the birth of the Sun God." "Sun attack? How is it possible, Tier 3 divine power?" A well-informed lone scavenger was startled when he saw Caesar's eyes twinkling with golden light. The power of the Third Order is enough to make a name for himself in the entire universe. The rulers of some weak civilizations and the elite warriors of super civilizations are often only Third Order. Put it on Sokka, that's enough power to be a champion. "Run!" The lone scavenger hurriedly shouted a word, then immediately started the spaceship, and was about to flee quickly. He wasn't on good terms with other lone scavengers to save their lives. He just understood that when the rest of the people gathered together, it was only a single blow. If they scattered and escaped, they might have been able to delay a little longer. When the remaining lone scavengers saw that Caesar was in a wrong situation and heard the word run, none of them were hesitation, and they all started the spacecraft immediately and were about to disperse and escape. Being cautious and cherishing your life is the key to the survival of these lone scavengers. But unfortunately, they are too slow. Caesar's attack wasn't just one attack either. 4 rays of yang flames descended from the sky, from top to bottom, exuding incomparably hot heat, and in just an instant, the 4 spaceships were reduced to ashes. The temperature is not bad, but it still fails to reach the power of the real sun. Caesar looked at the instantly vaporized spaceship and said with satisfaction. He also understands that in order to truly show the power of the sun, at least the divine power needs to be upgraded to the 4th rank. After all, the temperature in the center of the sun can reach 15 million degrees. A true solar eruption can vaporize an entire planet in an instant. My God, what a waste! How much wine can this buy? My Majesty! The unconscious Valkyrie woke up when Caesar's supernatural powers ascended, looking at the 4 ships that had been vaporized, and the 4 lone scavengers, shouting waste. In the future, stop drinking for me. Caesar glanced at the scarred Valkyrie and used the power of the sun to heal her injuries. After all, Valkyrie is now his slave. As ordered, My Majesty, Valkyrie saluted and replied respectfully. Let's have some more light, it's so comfortable. Shut up. Okay, Your Majesty. The last Valkyrie is named Valena. After giving up option 1 and Soul Castle at the same time, there should be no way for Caesar to get a new Valkyrie. Valena, who was called a servant and was actually a subordinate, drove the spaceship into the living area of Sokka. The first thing I saw was a very lively and bustling scene. A large number of residents sang and danced on the streets in the image of the desert death god, that is, the sheep-headed demon. They were celebrating today in the desert that death god ended another challenger who didn't know how to live or die, and helped them win a fortune. In the living area of Sokka, except for the people who work for the Grand Master, most of the residents are either fighters or gamblers. The outcome of the arena, but there is a huge gambling table. Every day, countless people get rich or go bankrupt because of gambling. Then, they are either driven out of their living quarters and become food or waste scavengers. Or, be sold to a master and become a slave fighter. From then on, life and death are involuntary. Behind the seemingly prosperous Sokka, there are countless darkness hidden. But Caesar didn't want to overthrow it. This is Sokka, a place of oblivion and exile. The universe is full of countless darkness, civilization, and has always been cruel. Caesar can't handle it. At the beginning, Asgard also stepped on the blood and tears of countless civilizations to reach the top of the 9 realms. Moreover, most of the residents of Sokka were exiled because of a serious crime. I want to sign up and participate in the bloody battle. Caesar came to the arena and said to the person in charge of the arena. Asterisk. Chapter 11 The Two-Headed Ogre. Come and stamp a stamp, record a video, the first game tomorrow morning. The arena director glanced at Caesar, and stopped talking after recording his identity. Every day there will be people participating in bloody battles. Life and death have long been accustomed to. Yo, raw face. The person in charge of the arena was already numb, but the others in the arena were still amused. They need to relax. He just came to Sokka? Does he still want to go out? Want to be a champion? A fighter with a bruised face but a strong body sneered. Haha, maybe, he just wants to make a lot of money. After each bloody battle is won, you can get a lot of rewards. Do you want to earn your life? Haha. The fighters burst out laughing. Until a fighter with a broken hand said indifferently, who of us is not taking our lives to earn? The atmosphere of laughter immediately turned silent. Arena fighting is generally divided into two types, ordinary fighting and bloody fighting. Ordinary fighting is all about winning and losing, but it is not uncommon to have a broken limb or an occasional death. As for bloody battles, that means often only one person survives. Live to the end and be the champion. Tier 3 solar power made it easy for Caesar to win the bloodbath. He quickly won 9 consecutive victories, and as long as he finishes the 10th game tomorrow, he can challenge for the championship. Your Majesty, tomorrow's opponent will not be easy to deal with, please be careful, Valena said to Caesar, drinking wine that she couldn't afford before. The betting table made Valena a fortune. Oh, in this arena, besides the desert death god, there are people who can threaten me? Caesar asked suspiciously. In addition to the Grand Master, Sokka has only a handful of Tier 3 strengths. Maybe, it's a two-headed ogre, very strong, he should have just come to Sokka, and he wants to leave here too. Valena said cautiously. She has carefully studied every opponent of Caesar, she is willing to give everything for Caesar, and she will definitely pay attention to protect Caesar's safety. Two-headed ogre. Caesar looked at the champion building built by the Tiffany Group, where 13 heads were arranged from low to high. Every time there is a champion, the champion building will be covered with a layer, and at the same time, the head of the champion is engraved on it, and the image of the desert death god sheep-headed demon is currently standing at the top. I remember that there will be an image of a two-headed ogre there in the future. Could it be him? Caesar picked up the glass, took a sip, and said to Valena, "Okay, don't worry, you should know that we are the gods, and I am the sun god. As a Protoss and a third-order sun power, the one who can win Caesar steadily in the universe is the overlord of the universe. The overlord of the universe does not need to participate in the bloody battle at all." The next day, the bloody battle took place as scheduled. Varina sat quietly in the audience after spending all her money on Caesar to win. Ogre! 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 A large audience cheers for the ogres. Only the scattered audience was shouting for the sun god. Up to 5 meters tall, with a robust body, covered in iron armor, and holding a 2-meter-long mace that weighs several tons, the ogre looks very powerful indeed. And Caesar, who is only about 2 meters tall, didn't have any exaggerated performances in the previous 9 bloody battles. In contrast, the audience supporting ogre is naturally far more than Caesar. Break his bones. Tear him apart. Eat, eat. Ogre and Caesar have come into play. Ogre supporters began to boil. "Do you want to kill me with your toothpick?" the ogre buzzed. Caesar had a one-handed sword in hand, and without a shield, the shield provided by the arena was useless against a mace weighing several tons. And that one-handed sword, in the eyes of the ogre, perhaps looked like a toothpick? "I'm going to eat you. Little man, you're delicious." The ogre swung his mace and started provocatively, but he didn't rush to attack. As a Protoss, Caesar's flesh and blood does contain powerful energy. "Big man, you are strong." Caesar circled the ogre, watching carefully for possible weaknesses. He really felt the threat from the ogre, and that ogre also possessed the power equivalent to the third-order divine power. "Come on! Smash him, smash him!" Both the ogre and Caesar felt threatened and confronted slowly, but the audience couldn't wait. "Today is really rare, there are 2 good seeds, hee, maybe one of them can become a new champion." The Grand Master sat on the high platform, happily watching the confrontation between Caesar and the ogres in the arena. "Coward, coward! Come on, ogre! Go on, tear him apart!" The audience grew impatient. "No, I have to rush them, but I can't make the audience wait." "Good show, start." The master took out a controller and pressed it, and a small device on the ogre's neck emitted a faint electric current. The ogre shivered slightly, knowing in his heart that the master couldn't wait. He was an outcast because he accidentally ate a lot of friends and family after getting drunk at a banquet. Then, he was banished here forever by the tribe. From the beginning, he became the master's slave fighter. Roar! The two-headed ogre no longer observed carefully, and roared up to the sky. Take a step and rush towards Caesar. Boom, 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 the heavy footsteps brought by the huge body made the entire arena tremble. The battle begins. Asterisk. Chapter 12. Sorry, I am the strongest too. The two-headed ogre may seem bulky, but his tall frame also gives him a swift pace. In just a few steps, he was already in front of Caesar. With the mace roar in his hand, he smashed it towards Caesar. Even though Caesar might not be weaker than the ogres, Caesar has no intention of fighting the ogres. Slightly sideways, let the mace fall to the ground, splashing all over the ground with dust. Then, he quickly pulled out his sword and stabbed the ogre's thigh directly. With a bang, there was an extra scratch on the ogre's leg armor. I knew this armor must be thick. Caesar spit out a noise, but his figure didn't stop. He started to turn rapidly around the ogre, and began to constantly swing the long sword in his hand. The crackling sound continued to sound, and the mace in the ogre's hand was swung faster and faster. Tearing air sounds, roars, mixed with flying dust, Caesar and the ogres in the arena have become a blurred figure. With a final high-pitched clanking sound, the smoke gradually dissipated, and Caesar and the ogre stood opposite each other. Kazaa, kazaa, the one-handed sword in Caesar's hand slowly cracked and turned into pieces, and the iron armor on the ogre also fell to the ground with countless scratches. The equipment provided by this arena is terrible. Caesar threw away the one-handed sword with only the hilt, squeezed his fist, and hooked at the ogre who was still holding a huge mace, signaling the ogre to attack. At the moment, the audience in the arena was already boiling. Ogre, ogre, ogre. In their opinion, the unarmed and thin Caesar had no chance of winning against the 5-meter-tall, thick-skinned ogre holding a mace. Only the ogre, gasping for breath, his eyes grew dignified. He understood that the real battle had just begun. Without further ado, the ogre strode forward, and the shattering of the iron armor lowered his defense a lot, but it also made his skills more agile. The mace has been swung into an afterimage, but it has never been able to hit Caesar. Caesar is faster than ogre. Dodge, punch, dodge, kick. Caesar kept pounding the ogre's left leg. It is better to cut off one finger if it hurts 10 fingers. Bang, 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 the sound like hitting a leather kept ringing. The ogre's defense is indeed strong, but with the sudden click, the ogre's pace suddenly became sluggish. The bones of his left leg were broken by Caesar. The ogre dragged its left leg, still constantly attacking Caesar, but the swing of the mace in his hand was much slower. The audience in the arena widened their eyes, and the countless gamblers who had bought the ogre to win began to curse or cry. And the few gamblers who bought the sun god to win began to roar loudly, and the outcome was already very obvious. You are very strong, but I have to be a champion. Caesar also relaxed a little. Victory and defeat, indeed. Caesar increased his speed again, this time instead of attacking his thighs, he went directly behind the ogre and started attacking the ogre's spine. As long as the spine is broken, the ogre will only usher in death. The thumping sound continued again, and the ogre's roar sucked more and more heavily. The mace in his hand swung wildly, but his left leg was injured, which could not affect Caesar behind him at all. Caesar started to slow down a little and increased the intensity of his attack, trying to end the fight as soon as possible. With a thud, Caesar slammed hard, causing the ogre to stagger a little, and it seemed to start to stand unsteady. Caesar struck again, but suddenly saw the head of the two-headed ogre twisted behind him, staring straight at Caesar. Then, with the mouth open, a violent cold gushes out of the ogre's mouth, and is about to freeze Caesar into ice cubes. At the same time, the two-headed ogre, who was supposed to be exhausted, threw away the mace in his hand, and quickly returned it. He directly grabbed Caesar, who was affected by the cold, in his hand. Little man, I didn't expect it, my strongest is magic, and I will become the champion." The other head of the two-headed ogre smiled slyly, and then he was about to put Caesar into his mouth and devour it alive. "Sorry, my strongest is also magic." In the hands of the ogre, Caesar, who was wrapped in frost and covered in frost, instantly radiated extremely intense heat. The frost instantly turned into hot steam, burning the ogre's right hand red. "Hot, hot, hot!" The ogre hurriedly threw Caesar out, then exhaled cold air to cool his right hand. Caesar stood up, stared at the ogre and said, "It's over. I wanted to keep it until the end." Yang Yan shock. An incomparably powerful energy began to accumulate in the air, and then fell from the sky. The inconvenient two-headed ogre breathed out frosty air, trying to resist the impact of the sun from the sky, but how could the power of frost be able to fight against the sun? Suppressed, constantly suppressed, Caesar borrowed the power of the sun to continuously increase the power of the sun's impact, and the blazing temperature has made the double-headed ogre's head covered with blisters. Finally, with the last desperate roar, the two-headed ogre, slowly, was melted. After Yang Yan, there are only a few scorched bones left. Asterisk. Chapter 13 The Battle of Champions. The ogre broke out and tried to kill the Jedi in vain. However, Caesar showed his strength and completely crushed it. The rare and wonderful fight made the audience in the entire arena stunned for a moment, and then, the sky-shattering roar shout broke out. "Sun God! Sun God!" Valina smiled and opened another bottle of the most expensive wine, and at the same time, her heart was completely relaxed. This time, she won a lot of money again. With scars all over his face, the fighter who had joked about Caesar before was in the audience. It is very important for them to understand the strength of some potential opponents. Maybe, he can really become a champion. The Scarface fighter thought with a complicated expression, "Next time you fight, buy him a try." Wonderful, what a great fight! The master kept clapping his palms, his face filled with joy. "I like him a lot, he can be our new champion." "You said the same thing yesterday when you watched Ogre fight." Beside the master, the fat and strong Aunt Topaz said calmly. "Is there? You must have misremembered." "Yes, that's it." The master winked at Topaz, who looked at the master helplessly and didn't answer. After 10 consecutive victories in the bloody battle, he has the qualification to challenge for the championship. After Caesar applied directly to challenge the championship without hesitation in the arena. The battle of the championship is scheduled for the second day. At the same time, the entire Saka, at the behest of the Grand Master, carried out massive publicity for the fight, claiming that it was a rare true championship fight. "Grand Master, I like fun." The Battle of the Champions was held as scheduled. No one tried to interfere with Caesar before the game, it was all in the service of the Grand Master. "Sun God, Sun God! Champ, champ, champ!" Caesar has many more supporters than ever. After all, he showed extraordinary strength in the fight against the ogres. But compared to the battle-hardened champion, Desert Death God, the number of his supporters has been ruthlessly crushed. Damn, there are always so few people who know the goods. Caesar waved his hand in the arena and greeted Valina in the audience. Valina was sipping Saka's most expensive wine while waving her hands to cheer for Caesar. She didn't go to the table this time, and they should be out of here when Caesar becomes the champion. The Grand Master stood on the high platform, watching the two of them dance with joy. Then he hurriedly took the microphone and excitedly said to all the audience, "I can guarantee that this must be a very exciting fight. This is a real championship fight. I'm so happy. The battle begins, come on, kill him. Ah 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 ah." The audience in the entire arena started to go crazy, and the battle between Caesar and the Desert Death God has begun. Champion fighter, Desert Death God, a mighty sheep-headed demon. Immediately after the Grand Master announced the battle, he rushed towards Caesar without hesitation. Caesar and the ogre fight video he has been concerned about. That's two opponents that are no weaker than him. Especially Caesar's sunburst. Even if he was hit by Yang Yan head-on, he would only die on the spot. The demon's body is not much stronger than the two-headed ogre. Maintain the speed, immediately go up to close combat, and don't give Caesar a chance to hit him with the impact of the sun. This is the tactic of the desert death god. The sheephead demon is not much bigger than Caesar. The demon wings that are constantly flapping behind are not decorations either. The sheep-headed demon, holding huge amounts of death scythes, surrounded Caesar, from the sky to the ground, carrying out extremely fast attacks in all directions. Afterimages continued to appear and disappear around Caesar, and it looked like dozens of sheep-headed demons were attacking Caesar at the same time. It's a gorgeous dance of death. The jingle, mingled with the ever-flaring sparks, continued to emerge in the dance of death. The two-handed sword in Caesar's hand danced with afterimages, constantly colliding violently with the death scythe. One-handed swords are not resistant at all, and Caesar deliberately changed to a more durable equipment. As soon as the battle began, it entered a fever pitch. All the audience's eyes widened, without words, just staring at the fighting in the arena. Is this the real championship fight? Too strong, too strong. How is it possible to be a champion? Impossible, impossible. Some fighters who came to watch the battle muttered in a low voice. Powerful energy attack without personal experience, maybe they still can't see what the name is. But the most simple and intuitive speed and strength are enough to make their confidence fall to the bottom and fall into despair. Moments later, Caesar lost patience in the constant dogfight. Desert Death God is not necessarily stronger than the two-headed ogre, but his extreme speed allows him to drag Caesar into a passive. Constantly defending against fast-moving attacks from all directions is not an easy task. Caesar put away 5 points of strength in the devil's latest strike. Then, with the help of the sheep-headed demon's attack, he instantly retreated dozens of steps, temporarily pulling away from the sheep-headed demon. The sheep-headed demon did not bully him again. Constantly attacking Caesar at high speed was also a huge drain on him. Crucially, the quick attack didn't pay off, and he needed a new strategy. The brief confrontation in the arena allowed the audience to relax from the fierce fighting. The Grand Master took the lead in clapping his hands vigorously, and then, the constant cheers resounded through the sky. Asterisk. Chapter 14 The Devil is Immortal. Neither the goat-headed demon nor Caesar moved to applaud, but cautiously observed each other. Protoss, I want to use your skull as a bowl. The sheep-headed demon made a provocative statement, and then, dancing the death sickle, a huge amount of dark energy quickly slashed towards Caesar in a crescent shape. Devil, I hope you still have bones left. Caesar also responded, and at the same time, he swung the great sword with both hands, poured the divine power of the sun into it, and slashed at the crescent moon with a golden sword energy. The impact of light and darkness made a loud noise, but this was just the beginning. The demon ran at a high speed again, like a teleportation, and appeared around Caesar, leaving countless afterimages. The death scythe in his hand is also non-stop, swaying countless black crescent moons, forming a dark sky, trying to devour Caesar. Caesar stood firmly in the center, looking in all directions. The long sword in his hand also danced with afterimages, and a golden iron curtain was drawn out, so that the dark sky could not enter an inch. Demons and gods, darkness and light. The uninterrupted energy impact of the two provoked an earth-shattering collision. A huge amount of shockwave spread out from the arena, and then instantly knocked down countless weak spectators. The audience stood up, as if looking at the gods. No, that was the gods fighting. Then, more intense applause broke out. What use do I want that energy cannon to do? How is this possible? A lone scavenger sitting high on the heavily armed spaceship looked at the two people in the arena who were wanton banging with despair. It is impossible for a champion to become a champion, not in this life. The Scarface fighter opened his eyes and opened his mouth slightly, and muttered. Sun God, don't lose. I bought you a lot of money. Valena began to look at Caesar nervously. From the previous videos, she had never seen that the sheep-headed demon was so strong. The Grand Master was still happy, and the huge shockwave that swept past didn't even disturb his hairstyle. The energy shock continues, and the energy on both sides seems to be endless. But Caesar doesn't want to continue. This kind of energy can last him all day. The sooner we can resolve the battle, the sooner we can leave here. Caesar stepped up his attack. But there were countless afterimages, and Caesar couldn't grasp where the devil's real body was. If you can't catch it, don't catch it. If you kill it all, I don't believe you can still run. Caesar was ruthless in his heart, aroused the divine power of his whole body, and attracted the power of the sun. He instantly took himself as the center and burst out all the energy, forming a huge ring. Let everything go to nothing. The sun shines. The power of the gods is vast and the light is dazzling, but there are no huge amounts of shockwave. All energy is bound in a ring, adding more power. The countless afterimages of the sheep-headed demon were all shattered in an instant, leaving only the real body, which was swept by the ring of the sun, covered in bruises. The sheep-headed demon kneeling on one knee spit out a mouthful of black blood, but the black blood fell to the ground, but it seemed to have astonishing heat, making the ground a little anxious. Glancing at the magic circle of the arena, the sheep-headed demon said faintly, "If it weren't for this arena, your move might not have hurt me." The range of the arena is limited, and some energy shocks can pass through the magic circle, making the audience feel more exciting. However, it is absolutely impossible for people in the arena to escape from the arena unless his strength is close to that of the master. Caesar didn't answer. This was a bloody battle, not a sparring match. He directly pursued the victory, triggered the attack of Yang Yan, and killed the sheep-headed demon. The sheep-headed demon grinned, incited dark energy, waved the demon's wings, and quickly evaded when he noticed the energy gathering. When there is no time for delay, pass from the edge of Yang Yan's impact. Caesar kept triggering the impact of Yang Yan, leaving pieces of mottled lava on the ground, but he was always unable to directly hit the quick-responding sheep-headed demon. Deliberately activated the sunshine again, but the divine power in the body has not fully recovered. Forcibly launched, it can't bring more damage to the devil. Even if I am injured, your Yang Yan shock can't kill me. How could the mere edge temperature hurt this demon body that can survive in hell? The environment of hell is extremely harsh, and the high temperature and poisonous fog is a common occurrence. The sheep-headed demon screamed and provoked while dodging. The injuries on his body gradually recovered under the warmth of the dark energy, and the speed gradually increased. Caesar frowned, making up his mind. Most of the remaining solar power in the body erupted again, but it did not impact. It just covered Caesar's whole body from the inside out, so that Caesar's entire body was suddenly golden and shining. Devil's body? What about my solar war body? Caesar's eyes glowed with gold, shining on the goat-headed demon. Then, step forward and throw a punch. Under the influence of divine power, Caesar's strength and speed have been greatly improved in a short period of time. The sheep's head demon has not recovered from his injuries, and when he encounters an explosion of Caesar's divine power, he is temporarily at a disadvantage in the speed he is good at. The golden light flickered, punching and kicking. The sheep-headed demon was like a ball, constantly slapped by Caesar, and black blood was constantly spitting out of his mouth. It's useless, you can't kill me, my demon body won't die so easily. When your energy burst is over, we'll fight again. The sheep-headed demon struggled to support, but was still stubborn, and the golden light on Caesar's body gradually weakened. He was right, with Caesar's current strength, it is difficult to kill demons in a short period of time. Neither the Protoss nor the demons are easy to kill. A flash of determination flashed in Caesar's eyes, and he secretly said, "It can only be like that. The rest of the updates will be later. My relatives have made an appointment for dinner, and I can't shirk. But don't worry, I agreed to add more updates today. Today, before I go to bed, there will be 3 more updates, *. Chapter 15 No B1s left. Caesar forcibly exhausted the last energy of the sun battle body, dodged, and came behind the sheep-head demon. Afterwards, he grabbed the demon's arms with both hands, and then kicked the goat-head demon's waist violently. He kicked the goat-headed demon so that he leaned forward, raised his arms back, and knelt down on one knee. The sheep-headed demon seemed to sense something, turned his head sharply, and shouted at Caesar in horror, "What do you want to do?" "I want to try, whether the body of the devil is more resistant to burning, or the body of the sun is more resistant to baking." The impact of the sun. Caesar mobilized a trace of divine power that he had reserved, mobilized the power of the sun, and the sun's flames attacked, falling from the sky, and the target was himself. The sheep-headed demon struggled hard, but was injured and locked, and could no longer escape, so he had to work with Caesar to resist the power of the sun. Ah, ah, ah! Caesar heard's roar, and the third-order divine power cannot completely resist the power of the sun. Yang Yan released, and the burning Caesar was flushed red, and it seemed that a little bit of golden blood was constantly escaping from Caesar's body. Then, it vaporizes in an instant. Caesar can still hear roar, but the sheep-headed demon can no longer speak. It is like a burning candle. First the demon wings, then from head to toe, bit by bit, it was melted by the sun. In the end, only a cloud of black aura was left, which was gone with the wind. Sure enough, not even a single bone was left. Caesar withdrew the impact of Yang Yan, his body was flushed red, and his skin was covered with cracks, like a burnt stone. Seriously injured. Caesar, however, was still proudly standing in the arena, waving his cracked palms and greeting the Grand Master. There was a moment of silence in the audience, and then, roar was loud. "Champion, champion! Sun God, sun God!" Even the always ruthless Scarface fighter couldn't help waving his hands and rejoicing, whether he was cheering for the new champion or happy that he had made a lot of money. Valena constantly waved her left hand in tribute to her master, Her Majesty. His right hand didn't stop, and he kept pouring fine wine into his mouth. "The championship battle just now was too tense, and I didn't have time to drink much. If you don't drink more now, after you go out, you won't be able to drink the fine wine that Zacate has." The master looked at Caesar, who greeted him, jumped up, constantly clapped his hands, and shouted loudly at the same time. "Wonderful, really wonderful! I'm so happy, our new champion, right at this moment, was born. Come on, come on, come on! We need to engrave our new champion's portrait as soon as possible, and the champion building should be built with an extra layer. Call the Tiffany group a little faster, I can't wait to see our champion standing on the top." The master danced and instructed his subordinates, and then, seemed to remember something. "Hurry up and send someone to heal our champion, the champion can't be damaged after the war." When Caesar spoke about the birth of a new champion, when the master spoke, the whole person seemed to come to the core of the sun in an instant. However, the terrifying core of the sun did not appear to be hot, just a little warm, so warm that Caesar was like being in a hot spring, and his exhaustion was instantly washed away. A faint golden light burst out from Caesar's body and quickly traveled all over the body, but it was fleeting, but the sun in the sky seemed to have the same faint light flashing at the same time. Fourth order divine power, the promotion is silent. Paramedics rushed to the field to heal Caesar. Caesar, whose body was numb, shook his head, waved away the medical staff, and said, "No need." Then, using divine power, the red dead skin on the whole body cracked open with a screeching sound. Before the dead skin could fall to the ground, it was burned to ashes by the sudden appearance of a subtle golden flame. The increase in cell activity and the nourishment of the fourth order solar power have allowed Caesar to recover from his injuries. The battle was over, and Caesar didn't linger in the arena to enjoy the audience's joy roar. Just walked out of the arena quickly, squeezed out the rushing crowd, recruited roar to Valena, and went to meet the Grand Master. Not everyone can easily meet the Grand Master, but the champion warrior is obviously different. My best champion fighter, why don't you enjoy the honor you deserve and rush to meet me? The Grand Master spoke to Caesar with an exaggerated smile. You said last time that the desert death god is your best champion fighter. Fat Ant Topaz once again exposed the master's lie. The Grand Master winked awkwardly at Caesar. Caesar didn't have the mood or time to accompany the Grand Master, so he said directly, I need to get out of here, please give me a sturdy enough spaceship. The Grand Master's face suddenly became a little depressed, and then he brought an exaggerated smile again. Well, my champion, if this is your request, I have no reason to refuse. I am the one who obeys the rules of the game the most. It's just that you really don't stay in Sakadua for a while, the champion can enjoy everything in Saka. The Grand Master really abides by the rules of the game, and the champion is indeed able to leave Saka safely. As for staying in Saka and continuing to be a champion, except for people like sheep-headed demons who have been exiled here, forgotten by the world, and love to kill and enjoy. No one wants to stay in the bloody and violent Saka of Time Warp. Asterisk. Chapter 16 Determining the Time. Thank you for your kindness, but I still hope to get out of here as soon as possible. Caesar said politely, the strong should be respected. Okay, Grand Master pretended to wipe away his tears, you are the best champion, I really miss you so much. You have met once. Fat Ant Topaz always mercilessly exposes the master's lies. Maybe the master likes this tune? Some people can be best friends even if they've only met once, he said. The Grand Master winked at Caesar, funny. However, you can only leave Saka alone. Only the champion can make an offer to leave here, this is the rule of the game for Saka. The Grand Master glanced at Valina behind Caesar and said jokingly. Caesar paused for a while, then, using his divine power, revealed the strength of the Fourth Order Protoss without a doubt. We are the best of friends, shouldn't friends have a little preferential treatment? A golden flame flashed in Caesar's eyes, and he said with a smile. If Caesar is only tier 3 now, he may not have known each other for a while, and Valina, who is a servant, secretly threatens the Grand Master. But now, he has achieved tier 4. This is the power that is enough to be called an overlord in the entire universe. Even the Grand Master who is the elder of the universe is not much stronger than him now. What's more, since Valina became Caesar's slave, everything was for Caesar's sake, and Caesar was regarded as the only master. During the bloody battle in the arena, I reminded and helped Caesar a lot. With confidence and strength, I will definitely take Valina away together. The Grand Master felt the power of the Fourth Order Protoss, and his constantly provocative eyebrows spread out. The playfulness on his face changed to calm, and then he said with a smile. Definitely, we are best friends. Yes, if you have other good friends who are similar to you, you can introduce them to me. Believe me, we will definitely become best friends. Everyone who has the strength of the overlord of the universe, the Grand Master does not mind being the best friend with him. This time, Fat Ant Topaz didn't interrupt. The Grand Master personally selected the most sturdy spaceships, and at the same time stuffed a large number of Zakate products on the spaceships, including a batch of expensive Saka fine wines. Then, personally sent Caesar and Valina to the huge amounts of wormhole. My best friend, remember to come back to see me when you have time, I will miss you, Grand Master cried, looking really sad. Caesar agreed casually, anyway, the time flow of Saka and the outside world is different, the ghost knows how many years will pass in the outside world when he returns to Saka. He waved goodbye to the master, and let Valina drive the spaceship directly into the huge amounts of wormhole. By the way, that wormhole is called the Devil's Ass Butt Eye. There is a very strong pressure inside, and ordinary spaceships or flesh body strengths that do not reach the equivalent of Tier 3 Protoss directly enter it and will only become fragments. The spaceship given by the Master was strong enough, and Caesar was strong enough. After smashing a lot of spaceship debris along the way, Caesar finally returned to the normal universe. Strange void, Caesar took out the reward he had originally chosen to self-exile from Asgard. Star chart and reincarnation pool. The star map marks the coordinates of most of the planets in the universe and the wormhole teleportation points. As for the reincarnation pool, Caesar is not as good as it is. He has returned to the universe with normal time flow. He has to choose a good place to place the reincarnation pool. It's far enough to get here. Caesar looked at the star map and found his location. It turned out to be the edge of the Milky Way, and there were no well-known civilizations nearby. After confirming the location, Caesar did not rush to act. Without knowing the current time in the universe, Caesar currently has no clear destination. As for how to confirm the current cosmic time in this barren land, there is definitely the easiest and fastest way. Heimdall. Heimdall. In the normal universe, Heimdall's eyes fell after Caesar gave up the shield. Caesar? God King above, it's great that you're still alive. You know what? Heimdall was very excited, and his ruthless temper seemed to have changed back to the old talkative, chattering at Caesar. Live like an old mother who hasn't spoken for a long time. Caesar listened patiently for a while, but found that except for some thoughts of Heimdall and the Queen of Gods, the rest were all kinds of gossip from the entire 9 realms. For example, that Protoss has an affair with that Protoss again, that civilization killed itself because of the taboos, etc., etc. It seems that Heimdall knows too much, but he can't find anyone to tell it, and he has held it for too long. After finally finding Caesar, I always wanted to tell Caesar everything. Caesar couldn't take it anymore, interrupted Heimdall's speech, and then told him to secretly report to the fairy queen Frigg that he was safe, and ended the call. After Frigg knew, Odin would naturally know too. Start the spaceship and fly to the wormhole. In the current time period, there is a place that is worth visiting. As for getting Bifrost to help out with a quick turnaround via Asgard? For now, at least, Caesar says, he doesn't want to go back to Asgard, where he and his sister have been wiped away. Also didn't want to see Odin. Asterisk. Chapter 17 Bald Head. The year 1995. Although I know that Sokka's time is extremely confusing. The flow of time is faster and slower than the outside world. Loki and Thor had fallen within 10 seconds at Bifrost, and when they met in Sokka, weeks had passed. This is a difference of nearly 180,000 times. 500 years from the outside world, Sokka has only had 1 day. But at the same time, this means that if Sokka spends 1 day, the outside world may spend 500 years. Compared with the outside world, Sokka's time flow rate is generally judged by the eyes of the devil. When the rubbish from that huge amount of wormhole is being thrown into the universe at a rapid rate, the flow of time in Sokka is much slower than the outside world. It took a long time for things to fall. Sokka's time flow, compared to the outside world, was like the time difference between Thor and Loki, and it was faster than the outside world. During Caesar's time in Sokka, the huge amounts of wormholes never stopped. Has been spewing countless garbage at Sokka. Caesar knew that the flow of time in Sokka at this time was extremely slow compared to the outside world, and wanted to come out as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, after coming out, 1,000 years have passed from the outside world. Caesar sighed and didn't have time to think, after confirming the time. Sailed directly to Earth. After more than 10 days of non-stop space hopping, Caesar finally came to Earth. At this time, a spaceship was floating hidden in the space of the Earth. In the spaceship, except for a bunch of old and weak Skrulls settled by the defected Kree scientist Marvel, there is also a hidden treasure, one of the 6 infinite gems, Tesseract, namely, the Space Gem. If you can get the Space Gem before everything starts, then maybe a lot of disasters won't start at all. When Caesar came to Earth, it was the beginning of 1995, and there was plenty of time. So I just took Varina to play on Earth and tasted some delicious food that is hard to eat in Asgard. His relationship with Valina has changed a bit, and he is no longer a simple master and servant. Although Asgard coexists with technology and magic, its combat power far exceeds that of Earth. But eating habits and living customs are still almost stuck in the Middle Ages. If Asgard's ingredients are not delicious enough, I am afraid that Caesar will not be able to grow into adulthood healthily. In addition to playing, Caesar is also secretly watching Nick. Fury. He didn't come out to talk and didn't mean to help him. Nick. Fury, and even the entire S.H.I.E.L.D, is insignificant in the eyes of today's Caesar. He just wanted to find out when exactly Carol came to Earth. He needs Carol's coordinates for that ship. Caesar had already looked outside Earth's orbit. But those Skrulls might be really too obedient. Or maybe the Kree spacecraft are advanced enough. Caesar searched carefully for several days without sending any signal, but he still couldn't find the spaceship. All that remains is the legend of an unknown flight object circling the Earth's orbit for several days. Until that day, Carol fell from the sky. In front of the video store, Caesar and Valina refracted the light to hide their figures, watching Nick. Fury and Carol talking. The plot has begun. Can you believe that the square-faced woman has an incomparably powerful power within her body? Even stronger than me now. Caesar looked at the future Captain Marvel Carol with a complicated expression, after being penetrated by the power of the space gem. She seems to link the entire space gem. The power of the space gem can easily be used, which is enough to allow her to approach or even surpass the gemless Thanos from a mortal. After the Fourth Order, the gap is huge. Strong as a super overlord, shocking the universe, can be called the Father. Weak as awakening Thor, easily beaten by Hela. If the fourth level is converted into several specific levels, then awakening Thor, empty-handed, is a weak Fourth Order. When holding the Mjolnir Stormbreaker, it can be called a standard Tier 4 combat power. In the universe, there are many artifacts that can greatly enhance the user's combat power. Louth, King of Giants of Jotunheim, holds the Ice Crate, which can boost his combat power and knock Odin's eyes out. Caesar, who has just been upgraded to Tier 4 divine power, but can already control some of the solar power, can now be counted as a standard Tier 4 combat power. He also needs time to hone and grow. As for Hela, who has just been released from prison, he has the combat power of Tier 4. In the universe, it is extremely rare to have such combat power. A full blow is enough to destroy the star. Thanos, who has no gems, has a Fourth Order high-level combat power. That is why he is called the Crazy Titan, able to coerce the three major empires, dominate the universe, and wantonly destroy half of the inhabitants of countless civilizations. As for Carol, who has lifted the restrictions, including Ancient One, who owns the Time Gem, that is undoubtedly close to the Fourth Order limit, and if he goes further, he is enough to be called the super powerful of the Heavenly Father. It can only be said that the power of infinite gems is too powerful. How is this possible? Valina gave Carol a careful look. The standard equipment of the elite force of the Kerry Empire space troops, a universal weapon, and a space armor, how could it exceed the current strength of Caesar? If the equipment of the Kerry Empire can reach this level, then it will definitely not be only the three major empires, but the only empire. You don't understand, the source of her power is not this piece of equipment at all. For her, this piece of equipment is just a restraint. Her source of power is the main reason why I left the reincarnation pool temporarily and came to Midgard. Caesar said to Valina seriously. You are not allowed to drink again in the future. Whether you get this power or not, I will start my journey. Your strength is still too weak now. I don't want you to die in an unknown corner in the future. Before the Third Order divine power, you are not allowed to drink alcohol. Step up your training, and I will try my best to help you. Valina is Caesar's first servant who will do anything for him. During the rather long journey, the two of them did some things that they probably shouldn't have done. Caesar never wanted Valina to die. Okay, I got it. Valina nodded seriously. After Caesar was serious, she would obey Caesar's orders unconditionally. That black Midgard man is ugly with weird hair. In order to divert Caesar's attention and prevent Caesar from continuing to preach, Valina pointed to Nick Fury and said. At this time, the Skrulls had already started their attack on Carol. He'll be bald in the future, and he'll be blind in one eye. When Caesar mentioned the bald head, his tone was a little subtle. He was thinking, why did the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One not appear in front of him when he entered the earth? It's good to add more. I did a simple division of combat power. This chapter is a bit long-winded and difficult to write, mainly because it is at the transition point between the two plots. There are many things to consider. It took a long time to write, but I finally wrote it before going to bed. Out. Seeing that you are still coding so late, for the sake of insisting on adding more updates, please ask for some data. For example, I feel very uncomfortable when I see that the rewards and reminders are 0. Asterisk. Chapter 18 The Skrulls. Perhaps the Sorcerer Supreme won't even bother with my presence until I pose huge amounts of threat to the entire planet. Caesar thought about it for a while, but didn't delve into it. After all, as the Aesir gods, the earth has always been protected by Asgard. Just walking around the earth, there is no reason for the Ancient One to come to Caesar for trouble. Caesar and Valina continued to hide their shadows by refracting light, tracking Carol. If possible, Caesar would really like to grab Kroll directly and ask for the coordinates. However, the power contained in Carol's body is too powerful. If she were forced to lift the restriction now, Caesar might not be an opponent. I had to follow Carol first and wait for her to say the coordinates. While they were transforming the fighter plane, they directly drove the spaceship sent by the Master and took the lead. Get Tesseract. Skrull. All the Skrulls in this world should be killed, they are disgusting parasites. Varina watched the Skrull who attacked Carol start to shapeshift and escape, and wanted to kill the Skrull, but was stopped by Caesar. Varina hunted down Hela around the 10th century AD and fell into Sarkar. The Skrull Empire, as one of the 3 major empires, has existed in this universe for far longer than imagined. Apparently, Valina also knew about the Skrulls, and perhaps, some Skrulls who once existed as her enemies. We can't reveal it yet. Caesar said thoughtfully, and began to ask Varina softly, why should all the Skrulls be damned? As the Prince of Asgard, before he became an adult, and because the soul of the previous life was somewhat incompatible with the powerful body of the Aesir Protoss, his strength was weak, and he never walked out of Asgard. Asgard is not a planet, but a suspended continent, built in the depths of the universe by the Aesir gods with powerful technology and magic. The coordinates are extremely hidden, and it is very difficult to get in and out. Generally, you can get in and out quickly through Bifrost. Therefore, Caesar does not know much about many civilizations. His knowledge of the Skrulls only came from the memories of his past lives that he held firmly. Valina said fiercely, they are all disgusting damn bugs. Can you imagine they didn't have their own unique technology from start to finish? All their technology, all their domination, comes from their ability. At a glance, you can easily change your body shape, and even get their short-term memory. Can you imagine that perhaps your close lover was disguised by some unknown Skrull? Just to experience the beauty of others. Can you imagine that you have worked hard and spent countless hard work and manpower, and the latest technology that you have finally developed was disguised and easily stolen by the Skrulls? Even, the most admired hero, the greatest king, and the leader of the people may be easily replaced by the Skrulls for various reasons? Then, slowly rule a civilization from top to bottom. The most important thing is that these damn bugs have been easy on Valkyrie before, and they also tried to steal Bifrost's secrets. If the patron Saint Rig hadn't seen through her disguise, maybe it would have succeeded. You know, most of the original bodies they disguised were killed by them. That Valkyrie is my best friend. They are all damned. Rig is Heimdall's father, the previous god Asgardian, who also has the eye to see the 9 worlds. Hearing this, Caesar raised great vigilance against the Skrulls in his heart. This civilization is really disgusting. However, Caesar did not agree with Valina's suggestion to kill all the Skru people he saw. He had his own ideas. Caesar comforted Valina and said, "As far as I know, there is no Skrull Empire in this world now. Their home planet was destroyed by the Kerry Empire. Most of the clansmen have died, and only a small number of clansmen are left to escape. Deserved, these bloody bastards. However, those bugs that escaped are not so easy to be wiped out, and the Kerry Empire should hurry up to pursue them. Their ability is disgusting. After a long time, I can't tell where they are hiding." Varina seemed quite happy to hear this, and then asked suspiciously, "The Kerry Empire destroyed the Skrull Empire. The Skrull Empire in my impression relies on stealing everywhere, and its technological power should be stronger than Kerry, right? And Kerry was almost equivalent to the colony of the Skrull Empire at the beginning. Many technologies were obtained through the Skrull Empire. Has their technology developed greatly? Maybe. Who knows how a huge and ancient super empire was destroyed in a short period of time? There may be a great secret in this. However, it doesn't matter. I'm a little shocked that the Kree was originally a Skrull equivalent of a colony. Perhaps, this is why the Kerry Empire has always been a military dictatorship," Caesar said with a sigh. **. Chapter 19, The Sly Fury. Asgard's collections may contain numerous accounts of cosmic empires. But busy with training, Caesar, who was afraid of Ragnarok and Thanos snapping his fingers, didn't spend much time flipping through the thick and numerous history books. The universe is too vast, and civilization is almost infinite. No one knows how many civilization materials are hidden in Asgard's library. His impressions of many civilizations only came from memories of past lives, but it was obvious. This is not just a short film, but a real and huge world. Caesar and Valina continued to carefully follow Carol and his party, waiting for Carol to tell the coordinates. However, after seeing Nick Fury and that Carol, it seemed easy to forgive the Skrulls and plan to help them. Valina couldn't bear it any longer, and began to frantically complain to Caesar, "Are they all brainless pigs? Believe in the Skrulls. And the Skrulls who attacked them not long ago and wanted to kill them. By the way, there is another planet called Tofa, which was destroyed by the fleet of the Kerry Empire not long ago. Oh, that's not the Skrulls' fault, it's all the Kerry Empire's fault. God, are you so stupid? Are you sure she really has an incomparably powerful force in her body?" Valina seemed eager to try, and wanted to rush out and punch Carol. Caesar nodded earnestly, puzzled by some of Carol's and Nick Fury's decisions. If the Skaklua people had not escaped to Tofa, then Tofa would never have been directly destroyed by the Kerry Empire. The Kerry Empire is a murderer, so the Skrulls can definitely be regarded as an inducement to murder and an accomplice. And, according to Carol, the Skrulls were in order to escape. It also killed a large number of people on Tofa for disguise. No matter how you look at it, the guilt of the Skrulls seems to be greater. Valina couldn't make a move, but her mouth began to chatter. As a former Valkyrie, a soldier who defended her homeland, she had a hard time putting up with some of the actions of Nick Fury and Carol. Also, Dr. Laura, the person in charge of the so-called Pegasus project. Well, her real name was Marvel, and she was a Kree scientist. Good kill. After learning that Laura was directly killed by Yongrog, the leader of the Star Troopers, Valina almost jumped up happily. "Be quieter," Caesar stopped the excited Varina, somewhat confused as to why she was so excited. "That Laura is a traitor and a traitor. As a former soldier, she hated the royal family of Asgard because of some of Odin's actions. But she was in Asgard, and she had given everything for Asgard. She betrayed her own race, her own country, just to help her former enemy. Damn her! God, she's so stupid, is she really a doctor, really a scientist? Valina looked at Carol with some doubts, she doubted what Carol said. Then he said excitedly. What on earth was she thinking? What's right or wrong in a war between civilizations? Individuals have justice, and civilizations have no right or wrong. Even Asgard's brainless fighters understand the truth. She is a scientist who doesn't understand. The Kerry Empire painstakingly sent her lurking in Midgard to study the Tesseract. She's good, she finally developed the speed of light engine, and she planned to use it for the Skrulls. Not to one's own motherland, but to one's own enemy. Will the old and weak not grow up? They are pitiful, aren't those who were impersonated by the ruthless slaughter of the Skrulls? Aren't the countless civilians who died when the Kerry Empire fought the Skrulls? She's a traitor, damn it! Caesar gradually understood it, but he didn't think much of it when he first watched the movie. 500 years in Asgard. Watch as Odin and Hela conquer countless civilizations, plunder countless resources, and grow the entire Asgard. There is also the constant talk of Valina in front of him. Let him deeply understand that individuals may have justice, but civilization is absolutely right or wrong. Everything is for the development and continuation of civilization, which is the real world. And that ugly-haired Nick. Fury, how did he get along with someone who just wanted to kill him not long ago? And he also successfully impersonated his boss and entered into the friendly cooperation of the Skrulls at the top of their organization. Doesn't he understand how much harm this Skrull ability would do to Midgard? A bunch of stupid pigs. Valina is still blaming Nick. Fury, after all, she fought to protect Midgard and the giants of Jotunheim. Caesar took a closer look at Nick. Fury, who was still young, and didn't think he was really stupid. Just combining a few things to get a feel for some of Nick Fury's thoughts. He wants to use the Skrulls. This is also why he can be after this incident in the future. From a small tertiary agent. It only took 6 years to board the throne of the director. Nick Fury, very crafty. Asterisk. Chapter 20 Getting It. But Caesar never took Fury seriously, compared to the entire universe. Mere s.h.i.e.l.d, too small. Caesar stopped Valina's speech and began to listen intently. Carol had already said the key. That is, the state vector, orbital coordinates. After listening, Caesar did not have the slightest hesitation, and drove the spacecraft directly out of the Earth, towards Dr. Laura's laboratory. In space, Caesar drove the spacecraft to look at the seemingly empty void in front of him, and said with emotion, "The technology of the Kree people is really advanced enough. If I, as the sun god, had mastered some preliminary uses of light, even if I came to the spaceship, I couldn't make it show traces." In Marvel's laboratory, in the Kerry Empire cruiser, the old and weak Skrulls also discovered Caesar and Valina, who had suddenly arrived. The spaceship that the Grand Master gave Caesar was hard enough and gorgeous enough to fit the Grand Master's usual aesthetic. They looked nervously at the unfamiliar spaceship in front of them, expecting that the spaceship in front of them was just passing by, rather than looking for it on purpose. Even knowing that, the odds are slim. Because they know very well that the Skrulls have too many enemies in the entire universe. Caesar waved his hand and used the power of the sun to directly forcibly remove the optical camouflage of the Kerry Empire cruiser. A sharp alarm began to sound inside the Kerry cruiser, and the Skrulls were in despair and confusion. Caesar looked at the huge Kerry cruiser that appeared in front of him, laughed, started the spaceship directly, and flew into the cruiser. Looks like Laura isn't stupid enough to delegate all the rights to the cruiser to the Skar Eurus. The Skrulls did not use the cruiser's weapons to attack Caesar's ship. Perhaps, it's just because the authorization of the highest authority requires supreme wisdom to decide. Valina has always held strong hostility towards Marvel, even when she is long dead. After the initial chaos, the Skrulls in the cruiser did not muster up the courage to fight. They are only old and weak, and they do not have powerful weapons. They hid, intending to wait for the enemy to enter the cruiser, and then use the Skrull's ability to deal with the enemy. Caesar's powerful divine power made him sense the hidden Skrulls, but he didn't directly pull them out and kill them. Just go straight to the power core, and the Tesseract goes. Compared with the space gem, these weak Skrulls are not worth spending a second of Caesar's time. Inside the cruiser's power bay, the Tesseract emitting a beautiful blue shimmer is constantly providing the cruiser with powerful energy. This is the reason why the Skrulls can survive in this cruiser. Without hesitation, Caesar waved his hand and took Tesseract in his hand. Infinite gems require great power to directly touch or use. But most cosmic gems have a specially made protective layer to facilitate storage and transportation. Tesseract is this protective layer. It's so beautiful. Caesar weighed the Tesseract in his hand without crushing it directly. Trying to harness the near-infinite power of the space gem right now. He has no doubts that with his current strength, he can use this space gem. But now, clearly not the best time. In the void, with Varina by her side again, what if the movement of mastering the space gem is too great, destroying the cruiser and the spaceship sent by the Grand Master, and hurting Varina by the way? That would be troublesome. Caesar wasn't looking for trouble. The gem is in hand, the goal is achieved, and everything is going well. Caesar smiled happily, and was about to return to his spaceship, go to a planet of his choice, establish his own forces there, and then hunt down Thanos. No matter who you are, this is the cruiser of the Kerry Empire. What you hold in your hand is the important goal of the Kerry Empire. Hand over the energy core and I will let you go. Yangrog led the members of the space troops and blocked the two Caesars who wanted to leave with Tesseract in the cruiser. When Caesar forcibly broke the camouflage of Marvel Labs, the Kree Imperial cruiser. The Kree Empire discovered this cruiser. Interesting, interesting. Caesar threw the Tesseract in his hand a few times. I didn't expect you to come here first, avoiding Carol. However, Tesseract, since it's in my hands, why do you want to take it away from me? Sorry, the name of the Kerry Empire is not enough in my eyes. As one of the three interstellar empires, the Kerry Empire is indeed extremely powerful. A special energy weapon, which can be used by people to exert great power after holding it. But in the eyes of Caesar, who has achieved Tier 4 and is about to control the space gem. Not to mention that there is only an elite interstellar team of the Kree Empire in front of him, it is the supreme intelligence that appears in front of Caesar. Caesar still didn't care. The Kree Empire can sign a peace treaty with Xandar. That is enough to prove that the Kree Empire cannot at least crush the Nova Corps. But what about the powerful Nova Corps, the world-famous Xandar star? In front of Thanos, it is said to be destroyed. The overlord of the universe is so powerful. And Caesar, for now, is enough to be called the overlord. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.